Okay, hello fellow YouTubers. Today I'm making a video that shows the whole process front to back of how I reload my ammunition. Unlike some other videos, I'm not going to show myself making 150 rounds of ammunition. I'm going to show you about 3, I'd say. Just going to show you the whole process front to back, how I do it, including some steps that I do that some people don't. And I'd appreciate any feedback on something that might help me. So anyhow, to get started, I've got three. I just ordered in 3,000 pieces of spent brass that is dirty, has spent primer in them, and I'm getting ready to prepare them so I can load them. What I have is a case tumbler here. This is a Cabela's 400 vibratory case tumbler. I generally put about 150 rounds in there with either walnut shell or corncob material, and then I put in a cap full of brass polish to clean it up, and then the end result is something along this line, something that's a lot cleaner. Notice the spent brass is still in there. I generally leave that in there so I don't get material, the corncob media or the walnut shell media stuck in the primer hole. So that being said, here's generally what I do. The first thing I do after taking these out of the tumbler is I take my indexing rod out of my press so it doesn't spin, and I line up on my decapping and my rounding die. So I just press that through, get the primer out, cement primer out. Run another one through here real quick, another one, and a third one. So right now I've round the cases, I've decapped the primer, and so now what I'm going to use is I'm going to use my Hornady case lube pad. This is just like a felt pad that you put the case lube in. I've already lubed it up. It's got some in there. So what I'm going to show you is what I generally do is I lay them on here 10 at a time, like so. And then once I get the 10 of them on there, I just kind of take my palm, roll them one way and then roll them back to get some lube on them. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and reinstall my indexing rod. Normally, I'm going through these 50 at a time. And the other thing I do is I have this little small primer cleaner to clean out the gunpowder. Most of the ammo I make for long-time storage. So if there's anything corrosive in here, I want it out. So this is a El Cheapo dart body with a plastic dart tip, and I found that this piece and this piece just screw together like perfect. So I leave it on there, and the reason why is because I can kind of use it to, roll like this to clean out that primer pocket there. And if I happen to have any corn or walnut media stuck in the primer hole, then I can use the dart tip to blast it out. So I got that one ready. Give me another one cleaned up here real quick. And then another one, 3 of them. Okay. So now that I got that done, I got 3 cases ready to go. I got my indexing rod back in. I got my safety prime loaded up. Just a little tip on the safety prime. You can put 200 primers in this thing, but I don't generally do it. And the reason why is because when you completely fill it up, it rocks like this, and as you're loading, as this ram's going up and down, it's hitting it, and it wants to hit it and lift it out and knock it off. So I've learned to just be patient, put 100 primers in there at most, which will leave it generally sitting in this position, clear of the ram, and generally not a problem. So now I have my indexing rod in there. I'm going to go ahead and line me up a casing here. I'm going to re-round it again. At this point, I'm going to load in my small pistol primer. I'm going to bring it down. I'm going to rock it forward to seat the primer. I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to charge the casing, and I'm going to also flare it. I'm going to bring it down, rotate the station. This is my powder check. I used to load without this. I don't do it anymore, and the reason why is because I was loading about 100 rounds one time. I got down to like the last 10, I ran out of powder. So then I had to go take like 20 bullets apart to find out which ones did and didn't have powder in. So what this does is if you have no powder charge, or if you have a double charge, then it will lock you out. Since I've got the correct amount, it's going to let me take the handle all the way down, it's going to lift this all the way up, and it's going to allow me to progress the turret to the next station. Here's the seating. Here's the seating and the crimp die. Seat the bullet in there, put the handle down, seat it, crimp it, and voila, good to go. And I generally will, wipe them down afterwards, for the mere fact, to just get the case lube off. Because like I said, I normally put these in ammo boxes with those little silica gel packets for for moisture control. But there you go. There's a complete bullet. I'll go ahead and show you a couple more. I'm gonna not put a primer in. I'm gonna show you how this powder check works. This is an RCBS powder check. So let me go ahead and roll around here to the powder station. Okay, I don't have a primer in there. The primer won't fall through the hole. No big deal. So actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go to the powder check. I don't have any powder in there as of right now. So watch what happens. Boom. The handle doesn't go all the way down. This doesn't allow this piece to come all the way up, and I'm locked out. I can't go any further because I don't have powder in there. So let me go ahead and spin it around to the powder. Let me go ahead and put a charge in there. And put another charge in there. I'm going to double charge it. So what happens when I get to the powder check, again, it doesn't allow this to come all the way up, and it locks me out. My handle's not going all the way down. I know you probably can't see the handle, maybe, in the video. But my handle's not going all the way down. Real quickly, I'm going to pop this out. I'm going to dump it. I'm going to back myself up a station here. I'm going to put the correct powder charge in. And then when I go to the powder check, this is the correct charge. Not only will it allow this to come all the way up, but allow the handle to go all the way down. And I believe you might be, I don't know if you can see that or not. But anyhow, it does work. It works real well. With this in there, I don't have to be watching the powder. I can just be loading, and if I start to run out of powder, boom, it lets me know. Then you might only have to back up a couple bullets to see if you had the correct charge in there. The last time I made that mistake, I had anywhere from 10 to 20 bullets that may or may not have the right charge. So I'd take them all apart, to verify which ones were good. And, at that point, the bullets, the actual lead bullet is, you don't really ever want to crimp it twice. I did reuse the powder, and I did re-round the cases. What I did in that case was I took, let me lower this down. I took if you loosen this nut up here in this rod, it takes the pin out that knocks out your primer. So at that point, I just dumped the primer out, took this pin out, and ran the casings up in there to re-round them, and then recharged them, reflared them, and then set in a new bullet because I just threw the lead bullets away. I don't ever really do that. So anyhow, I'm just going to bring you through two real quick here. I'm going to dump this out. This does not have a primer in. I'm going to start from scratch. I'm going to run through two more bullets here just so you can see it in action. Okay. Okay. There's the casing, the primer, the powder check, the bullet, the seat, and the crimp. Rounding the casing, dropping in the primer, seating the primer, charging and flaring, powder check, bullet, seat and crimp, done. So that's how I do it, front to back. As far as prepping my cases, not only with the media, but prepping the primer pockets with a primer pocket cleaner, lubing rounding, depriming. That's getting all the case ready. And like I said, I generally do that with my indexing rod out. I just sit there and I'll deprime and round 50 to 100 of them. And then when I get that done, I put the indexing rod back in and start spinning the turret running through the stations. The one thing I did want to mention, for some reason, you know, every now and then you get like, you'll get a case that rounds fine, but when you go to crimp and seat the bullet, and I don't know if anybody has any ideas on this or not, but what I'll do is I'll get like a little ripple right in the center of the case. Just a little teeny ripple, just enough to keep it from hanging up and it going into the chamber. And I'll find it, and here's the reason why, because I always use a cartridge headspace gauge for go, no go. You know, like this one here is fine. It drops in the gauge just fine. This one's good to go. This one drops in just fine. It's good to go. This one drops in just fine. It's good to go. But every now and then I'll have one that doesn't go in very well because it's swollen just a hair. So what I've been doing is I've been spinning around, like say if I do 100 of them, I got like 3 of them that are that way. Is what I've been doing is I've been taking the pin out for depriming, and I've been putting the loaded bullet in the shell casing, holder with the pin out for the depriming, and then what I'll do is I'll just actually run it up through there, and it'll re-round the case again. And then, like say if I have a bunch of, say I did a big load one day and I have like 20 of them, I'll take my indexing rod out and just sit here and re-round all 20 of them. And then what I do, just to be on the safe side, with the indexing rod still out, I'll go ahead and spin it around to my seat and crimp die, and I'll reseat and recrimp them. So I don't know if anybody else is doing that or not. I'd like to know in comments if anybody else has had that experience and that's what they're doing to fix it, or if they're just negating them and taking them apart and disposing of them or whatever. I just was trying to eliminate, you know, a 5 to 10% loss on cartridge making, and then, you know, maybe it's a bad weekend, maybe it's a 20% loss. So anyhow, that's been working out real good for me. The ammunition's been firing okay. I haven't had no problem there at all whatsoever. Again, I just take my depriming rod out, I re-round it, recrimp it, reseat it, recrimp it. Everything seems to be working pretty good from there. So anyhow, that's my video. Tried to make it as short and sweet and as quick as possible. If you have any comments, please feel free to do so. Let me know if there's anything else I should be doing, or if anybody has any questions. I appreciate it. Thanks.